Hey everyone, my name is Jay Lee and I've been playing golf for around 2 years, and it has been a 2 years of pain, suffering, frustration, and obviously there are moments of joy that keep making me come back to it.
Oh my God!
But golf is a very frustrating sport to get better at and practice. But today I'm going to tell you 4 things that I wish I knew earlier to make this experience a little bit less frustrating. So we'll get right into it. Number 1 is a slice does not get fixed with one feel. Now, this is not slice specific. This applies to every problem in golf. For me, it was the slice. When I used to slice it 3 fairways over, and my friends would call me the Slice King, I would try YouTube video after tip after advice of different feels. And at a certain point, it felt like nothing was working. And I think it was because of the expectation that I had that my slice would get fixed with one feel. Especially when YouTube videos are titled, "Fix Slice in 3 minutes." That just doesn't work in golf. And I think nothing in life really works like that. Something valuable just doesn't happen overnight. Rather than getting disappointed after every experiment or a new feel that you're trying, try to understand that you can only get rid of a slice if you give it enough repetitions, if you give it enough development for your body to learn how to move in a certain way. It's not just one YouTube video or one movement that suddenly changes everything. It's that one movement done over and over and over again so that your body can naturally do it, or at least understand to trigger the correct muscles to do a certain move. Tip number 2 is every body is different. Now, notice how I didn't say everybody and I said everybody. Now, why I say that is because my arms are longer than Rory McIlroy's. So obviously my swing pattern is going to be different. He's much, much better than me at golf, but tips that work for him may not work for me. That goes the same for grip, address, backswing moves, downswing moves, equipment, because every body is built different. I may be taller than Rory, so I might have to stand in a different way. Scottie Scheffler is taller than me, so he's going to address the ball a different way. When you watch these YouTube videos about references, where your hands should be, where your arms should be, take it with a grain of salt, because you have to realize every body is different. You need to find something that's comfortable for you, not for Rory McIlroy. Even though Rory McIlroy is 1,000,000 times better than you, that just doesn't mean you have to follow his certain body movements. When something doesn't work, realize that, is this feel or is this thing that I'm working on in my swing, could this be very body specific? Could this be very length specific? Could this be very structure specific? You have to ask yourself these questions and not have such a frustrated time on the range when you realize that, oh, Rory sets up this way because his arms are shorter than me. Oh, Scottie sets up this way because his arms are longer than me. These are important questions to ask before you start cussing at the driving range. Number 3 is golf is a sport, not a swing. Very early on, I think for at least the first year of my golf, I would treat this sport as a swing. I didn't care about putting, chipping, and not just the short game stuff. I would just think that this is a replicated motion. Now, there are players who actually take it like that. Like people like Bryson think the swing is just a repeated motion.
I don't even see the golf ball when I hit the shot. I'm literally feeling what my body's doing and just repeating that feeling every time.
You also have to realize Bryson is a freak of nature. He's extremely athletic, and he's been doing this ever since he was 8. But for your average Joe who picks up golf usually when they're 20, it's not like that, right? You have to be a little bit athletic. And you don't do this for other sports, right? When you play basketball and when you throw a three-pointer, you're not like checking every angle and trying to replicate a certain motion. You just get the ball and you kind of go off your feel. And because the ball is not moving in golf, people think you have to be because you have all the time in the world, you have to be super, articulated and all that. But at the end of the day, golf is as much of a sport as basketball. And the moment I realized this, I started realizing that golf is much more of an athletic sport than it looks like it. It's not just you out there trying to execute a certain swing pattern. It's how your body reacts to basically a different backswing setup. Every time you backswing, you're not going to be in the exact same position because obviously you can't do that with your body. And number 2, on the course, the ball is on different lies and It might be on this angle, it might be on a downward angle. It's how you set up to the backswing and react to this rather than trying to repeat a certain motion. This will remove a lot of the frustration part because you might not execute what you wanted in that swing, but you'll still feel in the game, like you're playing a sport. And when you pull something off athletic and you get on the green, that's when it feels good. That's when it feels like a sport. That's when it feels joyful, right? Next time you're on the course and you're on the range, try to be athletic on the range as well. Now, the last tip I think is the most important, and I mentioned this in a previous video, is to understand fundamental first before a feel. A feel is very person specific. What I mean by that is I'm going to talk about two different feels, and one of them is going to be fundamentally correct, while another one is very feel specific to that person. When I bring my right elbow in, I feel like I'm about to slap someone right here. Okay, that versus it feels like my right elbow is in the lateral axis ahead of my right hand. That's a good feeling. So this is a very literal feeling. Like you can't mess that up. On the lateral axis, my elbow is ahead of my hand versus this would be my hands ahead of my elbow, right? It's not up for interpretation. This is very specific. However, if you're imagining you're slapping someone, you could still slap someone like this, right? And have your hands above your elbows, ahead of your elbows, right? Any kind of feel advice that's up to interpretation like this, once again, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Everybody understands things differently. That's why feel is not real. And when you start talking to these different people about your feels, you'll notice that everyone's talking about different things. But if you break it down enough, everyone's actually talking about the same thing.
I hit the cut same way as you do, but I say it differently and feel it differently.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Whenever you find a feel or a new thing you want to try in your golf swing, try to understand the fundamental first rather than just try to replicate what that person's feeling. This will save you a lot of time and frustration on the driving range because you're not out there chasing something that's very person specific, right? Now take these 4 tips and remove a lot of your frustration out on the range and the course.